It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, to your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and give us a follow wherever you get your podcast by searching for the KABC News Blitz. We'd appreciate a subscription. Here we go, everybody. It's time to go to Macarthur Park. Macarthur Park has been at the center of quite a few national stories over the years. Last year, Macarthur Park was the center of a controversy because the longtime owner of Langer's, one of the most legendary places to get pastrami ever, one of the most greatest delis there is, said he was threatening to close up shop because of the open-air drug market at Macarthur Park. And of course, 2 years ago, you had the open-air drug market at LA Metro Macarthur Park Station that started to get a lot of headlines when people saw the video of what looked like a zombie apocalypse inside a Metro station. So I was quite surprised when I saw that the LA City Council, District 1, Eunisses Hernandez's office, and the LA County Board of Supervisors, District 1, Hilda Solis's office, were holding a joint press conference called Health and Safety at Macarthur Park. Because for as long as I've known Eunisses Hernandez, she has not really leaned into the health or safety part of Macarthur Park.
Yes!
She famously was asked what she thought of the situation that was solving the crisis going on at the LA Metro station, Macarthur Park, with blasting classical music, if she thought that was torture. And she said,
yes!
She believes in harm reduction. She believes in defund the police. She does not believe in treatment.
You can't get well in a cell.
So let's hear what she had to say, because maybe she's changed her tune. Here is Eunisses and Hilda at Macarthur Park.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I want to start off by thanking some folks who are here with us, who have made time to be with us today. Supervisor Solis, thank you for being here with us today.
All right, Hilda, you got a shout out.
But always being in support of moving forward our communities and investing in them. Senator Maria Elena Durazo, thank you so much for joining us today. Really honored that you're here to share space with us and also throw down with us. And how.
Boy, you gotta love the way Eunisses talks. Maria Elena Durazo throwing down with us.
Really honored that you're here to share space with us and also throw down with us, and how you have been for many, many years for this neighborhood. Thank you.
That's right. Macarthur Park is the biggest drug den in Los Angeles. It's probably the worst park in Los Angeles. Here are all the electeds that have been around forever that you should thank for how terrible it is. Eunisses has only been around for a couple of years, but Hilda's been there forever. Maria Elena Durazo has been throwing down forever.
We have Jimmy Kim, General Manager of Recreation and Parks, always throwing down, making sure we have all the resources for our parks.
That's right. The Parks Department, they throw down with Eunisses.
Run good, that they have a good team. And a lot of the work that we do has been in collaboration with RAP. So thank you, Jimmy, for your leadership. Dr. Samir Amin.
Boy, we're still thanking people. How many people are at this press conference?
Dr. Samir Amin, Chief Medical Officer with LA Care. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and bringing your expertise.
So LA Care, the local health insurance for the destitute, they're at Macarthur Park too? What's going on here? I thought this was about safety.
And all the resources y'all are bringing. Shoshana Scholar from the Department of Health Services at LA County with the Office of the Director of Harm Reduction.
We have a Director of Harm Reduction at LA County Health Services. This isn't even for rare. This is the other agency.
Yeah.
But we have a Director of Harm Reduction Services for LA County Health. Well, that's great.
Director of Harm Reduction?
Also, now that I know that this is a harm reduction press conference, you can throw out the health and safety aspect that we were promised.
Let me say that again. I was just so excited to see her because I've known Shoshana for a long time.
That's not helping Shoshana's cause. I'm going to do my research and try to find out how much Shoshana makes being the Director of Harm Reduction Services for the county.
Shoshana has been on the front lines of this work for decades. And so
And the problem has gotten better? No.
So I got too excited. But let me step back. We have Shoshana Scholar here, Director of Harm Reduction Division at the LA County Department of Health Services. Thank you so much for joining us, for your partnership, and for always just being a leader for folks that have for so long been left behind and forgotten. Thank you for always bringing them forward. We have Marta Arevalo, Executive.
Yeah, let's forget the fact that the decade plus since California and specifically Los Angeles has embraced the ideology of harm reduction, overdoses have skyrocketed, overdose deaths have skyrocketed, and homelessness has skyrocketed. There are many other contributing factors to that, but one of the big ones is that we developed a housing-first harm reduction model to people that are suffering on the streets.
We have Marta Arevalo, Executive Director at Carecen. Seeing you 2 times in 1 week for some beautiful events. Yesterday,
Carecen, I believe, is the Central American Navigation Center. It's like a welcome center for day laborers.
Yesterday, to uplift our immigrant communities, and today to uplift the area of Macarthur Park, which often, I don't know if people know, but it is the Ellis Island of the West Coast. This is where people come to. Our immigrant communities are here and find resources here and community here. And
then why don't we make it clean and safe for them?
You've been leading a lot of that work to make sure that they don't get left behind. So thank you so much.
This is the most dangerous, dirtiest, most drug-filled park in the entire county.
And I'm going to go because I know it's hot, so I'm going to just keep going, but we'll get through this, okay?
We're 2 minutes into this thing, and we're still doing shout-outs for all the organizations that are here. And what you need to remember is all the organizations that are here, they're not here just because it's a beautiful day. They're here because they are making money off of this. They are getting funding off of this. You don't have to go as crass to say as they are profiting off of this pain. Some may say that, but they're definitely involved in this. As much as is talked about the homeless industrial complex, here's a very specific section of that. You can either call it the addiction industrial complex, you call it the harm reduction industrial complex, but you have a whole lot of organizations that bottom lines are tied to people not getting off drugs. Because if we decided to sweep up Macarthur Park and arrest everyone and put those people that need treatment in a locked facility, because you might need a locked facility for 6 months to get off some of this stuff, well, then who are you going to pay to pass out the Narcan or to pass out the needles or to pass out the meth pipes or the foil? There's a lot of livelihoods that depend on the fact that we don't get people clean.
We have Mark LaRanger, CEO of Chrysalis. Thank you so much, Mark, for your partnership and for the wonderful teams you have with us today.
Chrysalis, which is a job program for the unemployable, including the same drug addicts that we're serving who created a massive mess. Chrysalis will hire them to pick up trash. That's right. People are being paid to pick up the trash that they left there to begin with.
Social enterprise model.
And all of this is coming from your money. This is what your money is funding. Your tax dollars, which if you live in Los Angeles, you pay quite a lot. You're now paying even more thanks to Measure A. And a lot of the money that you think is going to help the least of these, the least among us, is going to prop up all of these organizations that have a vested interest in getting people to stay on drugs.
Social enterprise models are just phenomenal.
It's wild too, right? I mean, once the new year approached, you hear so many people talking about dry January. I'm doing drier January, not dry January. But so many people talking about, the dangers of long-term alcohol use. Gavin Newsom just signed a law that kids in high school need to be taught how bad alcohol can be. And yeah, alcohol in massive consumptions can be terrible. But at the same time, we know what's way more dangerous. We know what's killing more people every single day, and we are enabling it. Totally enabling it. I mean, we'll see if Prop 36 makes a difference, but I don't know if it's going to make a difference in the city of Los Angeles. I don't know if it can make a difference in the county of Los Angeles when you have all these electeds who have vested interest through their friend organizations to making sure that the people who are suffering in Macarthur Park continue to suffer in Macarthur Park, because there's no way to give out services if there's nobody there to serve. The only people that go to Macarthur Park are families to play with their kids. There's a lot of organizations that are out of work.
Alex Sanchez, Executive Director of Homies Unidos, here with us today.
Homies Unidos, an organization that intervenes with homeless gang members. Didn't know that that was a thing.
Who's been a great partner around our public safety responses, around building more community and investing in some of
These are some of the organizations that Eunisses Hernandez would like to fund if we would just defund the police.
Because we are the defund the police people, right?
We're 2.5 minutes into this thing, and we're still doing shout outs for all of the incredible organizations that have led us to the most disgusting park in Los Angeles. What was it, just a couple of months ago? One of those conceptual artists decided to make a monument in Macarthur Park of a statue holding a giant meth pipe.
And investing in some of the folks who have been impacted by the different systems in our communities and making leaders out of them. They're leaders, but you make them realize it and you invest in them and build that confidence. So thank you, Alex, for your decades of work. And Cristina Navarro, Executive Director of Healing Urban Barrios, another organization doing phenomenal work here in this area, uplifting and building up young people in this community and throughout Council District 1.
Healing Up Our Barrios, yet another organization that we have a lot of executive directors of a whole lot of organizations that you may have never heard of that are getting funding to clean up Macarthur Park.
And giving folks second, third, as many chances as folks need to have that confidence in themselves and build the networks and community they need to thrive. So thank you, Christina.
When you hear this,
and giving folks second, third, as many chances as folks need to.
That means we don't expect you to ever get off of drugs. It's okay. We've eliminated the stigma. It's okay that you're addicted to drugs. And it is wrong for us to want you to get off of drugs. Because if you got off of drugs, you might be able to put your own life together. And we need to take care of you. We need to manage your addiction in a way that we can fund all of these services to take care of you because you are now a ward of the state. So continue sticking that needle in your arm. Maybe I just have a very, very cynical perspective of this whole process, but that's certainly what it seems like. There are a lot of organizations that are connected to the county, that are getting funded from the county, that have a vested interest in somebody who is suffering from opiate addiction, somebody who is smoking fentanyl, putting fentanyl patches in their mouth, putting fentanyl syringes in their arm to stay on the drugs. Because getting off the drugs means that there's a whole lot of organizations that now have nothing to do and would not need the funding that they're getting. You could also argue, shouldn't all of this funding be going towards the massive shortage we have in treatment beds and hospitals and, professionals that actually can solve this problem? Well, now you're making too much sense.
And Aurora Morales, Program Manager for Center of Harm Reduction, joining us here today.
Oh, she's from Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles. And we've talked about Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles before. They're the organization which has been paid by the county for many years through Barbara Ferrer's budget.
Next slide.
To pass out meth pipes at Skid Row, to pass out syringes at Skid Row, to pass out naloxone and Narcan everywhere they can. All the people that we are paying to walk around with Narcan, they wouldn't have a job if there was nobody who was about to keel over because they did too much heroin.
I wanted to take that moment because I want y'all to understand the type of coalition partnerships that it takes to bring these type of networks and resources on board for a community that has been traditionally left behind and underinvested in.
You're still leaving the community behind. The community can't use that park. The community avoids that park because it's the biggest drug den in Los Angeles. Bigger than Skid Row at this point. We're getting just barely started here. I get a lot more of Eunisses. You're going to hear from some of these healthcare organizations because it is time that we took a wide look at the world of the harm reduction industrial complex in Los Angeles County. And the epicenter for all of it is at Macarthur Park. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're going through the sound of Eunisses Hernandez, Hilda Solis, and all of their friends in the harm reduction industrial complex, talking about all the great work they're doing at Macarthur Park, the largest drug den in Los Angeles County. Let's continue.
So this is how many it takes a big table to make these things happen. And so thank you for joining us today as we roll out several new initiatives that will support the health, safety, and accessibility of Macarthur Park.
All right, let's hear it. What are all these organizations doing with my money?
I'm proud to be standing here today with an incredible group and coalition of partners who are dedicated to working with us to improve the quality of life for residents and visitors alike in this neighborhood. We're standing in a historic place, and a place that for decades has been overlooked and left without the investment it needs to thrive. Westlake is one of the most densely populated neighborhoods in the city of Los Angeles and in the West Coast. In fact, the density of this area is on par with Manhattan in New York. Over 90% of the people living in this area are renters. This is a neighborhood.
So shouldn't they get a clean park? Why are you allowing drug addicts to take it over?
This is a neighborhood where many people don't have access to a front yard, a backyard, and over 94% of residents in Westlake don't live within a half a mile of a park. The area we're standing in right now is one of the only public areas of green space that is available for thousands of people who live here.
So why don't you make it safe? You know, like Mitch O'Farrell did to Echo Park and then got punished for it and got kicked out of office.
Some of the most pressing issues of our time, issues that we see mirrored across our city and our nation, acutely impact this neighborhood, including the dueling homelessness crisis and opioid epidemic.
Yes, because you allow it to be there. There are a lot of places that don't allow that in our parks because the parks are for kids and for families.
The lack of deeply affordable housing.
You allowed an open-air drug den in Macarthur Park.
The lack of deeply affordable housing and food insecurity. But it is also a neighborhood of hope and promise. And the leaders you see here today are a part of a deep web of people who are working together to realize that promise and deliver for this community. Many of you have joined us over the past year as we have rolled out a series of investments in this park. Just months ago, we announced that we secured $3 million from the city's opioid settlement fund to open a respite center within a half a mile that will provide restrooms, shower, case management, and
so a whole bunch of municipalities got a lot of money from these big settlements with the opioid manufacturers, Purdue Pharma, what have you. And you would assume that that money would go towards doing everything that we could to get people who are addicted off of these terrible drugs off the terrible drugs. City of LA takes $3 million and builds a fancy bathroom and hotel lobby for the people who are actively on drugs. That's what a respite center is. If you need a place to chill out for a bit because, I don't know, you're seeing things because you did a little too much meth, well, don't you worry. You can hang out here and you do not need to get off the meth. Do not need to get off the heroin. That is the underlying point of all of this. The last thing Eunisses wants you to do if you're addicted to drugs is stop doing the drugs.
And it will provide treatment referrals, services for people who are also experiencing homelessness. And over the summer...
See, if you got off the drugs, you might be able to be employable, get a job, get your own housing, or maybe a family member that has kicked you out would bring you back in because you're clean now. You know, it's like the very end of The Wire with Bubbles. You could be that. You could be clean and you could be let back in with your family. But no, if you stay on the drugs and we can build housing for you and get more money to build that housing with no requirement of you being clean, well, you can continue to do all the drugs you want and we'll continue to get more money for more services to help you because you're obviously never transitioning out of this. You're never getting better. We're going to continue to meet you where you are, and where you are is in the throes of addiction. We'll keep going here. We've got Eunisses, we've got Hilda, we've got Marina, and we've got so many people who are directly getting funded through this crisis. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Take your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. And wherever you happen to get podcasts, why don't you search for the KABC News Blitz and give us a follow, subscribe. The episodes get right to your phone. Listen to them if you want or not, but you have them. We'd appreciate it. We've been taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. Eunisses Hernandez of the LA City Council and Hilda Solis of the LA County Board of Supervisors went to Macarthur Park with a whole bunch of their partner organizations who have to do with harm reduction to talk about cleaning and making Macarthur Park a healthier place. With harm reduction, not getting people off of drugs. We're going to hear from some of the organizations, and we're going to hear from Hilda Solis. But first, we're going to hear from Morris in West Hollywood. Morris, hello.
Yes. Good afternoon. I provide maintenance in that very area, but particularly 7th Westlake and on Alvarado Street, primarily the maternity, pregnancy centers there. The city has wasted so much money over that park several years back. They uprooted the old grass, put up new grass on both sides of the park, spent $7 million. Look at it now, it's gone to waste. There's so much drug dealing going on there, it's scary even to walk the streets. And why don't they just go distribute fentanyl pills and get it over with? These people are a waste. They're of no good to society, and I don't think you can rehabilitate them. They got to get it over with for their own good, because they're just massive destruction over there, wasting the taxpayer money, and it's just getting worse. And the city council is a waste, too. We need to cut their salary 50%. Your tax dollars just going where? I don't know, but that's a rough area there. They approached me when I was doing some work to try to sell me some illegal papers over there. With a driver's license, they told me to charge me $60 and get me a driver's license. I'm good to go. And I'm scared to even leave my service truck over there because they'll break into it. That's how bad that area is, and I'm surprised Norm Langer from Langer's Deli hasn't shut down over there yet. He's still, I guess, operating. I thought he was going to close his business, but I guess he's still there. They closed early, though.
He threatened to, yes, but I'll tell you, he made so many waves with doing that. Thanks for the call, Morris. He made so many waves with doing that and brought so much attention to it. Hopefully, we get enough attention where the situation gets better, maybe by 2028. But with Eunisses in charge, I am not hopeful. Let's hear what Hilda Solis had to say.
Oh, my God, that's really hard to follow. Let's give it up for our Councilwoman District 1, Eunisses Hernandez. She means business. And you know what? I am so happy that I can partner with her. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time. We had a lot of discussions over the last few years. And yes, I do overlap in this district. We represent Macarthur Park, Westlake, and Pico.
Hilda's been representing that park for over a decade. And it's gotten terrible.
And Pico Union and so many other parts of Northeast Los Angeles. But I want to tell you, I'm excited to be here because I know that we're on the cusp of really changing something dramatically here in Los Angeles.
One of the things that they announced is they secured $400,000 for a team of an overdose prevention team. That's right. They're paying $400,000 for a couple of people to walk around the park with Narcan in case somebody keels over. Is that a good waste of your tax dollars?
And I'm happy to say that the county has always been a partner with you and with the city. And I know that there's been a tremendous change now with the new mayor there, Mayor Bass, who also asked us to lock arms on how we address the unhoused and the crisis in our streets. And when you...
It's an open-air drug market. How about we start with arresting the drug dealers? Then we try to get the drug users into treatment. Well, that would be too logical. If we did that, then there would be nobody for all of these service providers to provide services to.
And when you came along, you were also right there to step up to the plate. And we've had many conversations. You were also served.
You know, sometimes you could look at like these graphs of like how much drug addiction costs just for one person, all the things that they'll need. And you'll think about, you know, like emergency rooms and how it taxes the healthcare system and everything else. But think about all of the organizations that your tax dollars go to fund that only exist because somebody's addicted to drugs. And if we did our darndest to get them off of drugs, which doesn't work for everybody, but it definitely works for a lot of people. There's a lot of sober people out there, might be listening right now. Well, then that's a lot less funding that we'll need for these services to maintain your addiction.
And when you came along, you were also right there to step up to the plate. And we've had many conversations. You were also served at one of my commissioners at LA County. We got to know each other very well. But I want to thank all the people that are here, because after today, you're the folks that are going to be here on the ground, as well as our teams from the county and LA Care. I won't mention everybody because they've already been introduced, but I want to...
This is just, it's like the Golden Globes. This is like the Oscars. It is, thank you, we're all doing such a great job. This is the dirtiest, scariest park in Los Angeles.
But
this is the biggest drug den in Los Angeles.
But
this is the open-air drug market.
But I want to say muchísimas gracias. Qué honor a tener tantos de ustedes aquí dando este respaldo y...
Okay.
I remember back, my mom and dad would talk about when they were, before they were married, they used to come here. When they were courting each other, they spent time in the lake on the boats, and they would walk through the park. And
why do you think there aren't boats now?
And it was a safe place to be. And that's what we want to return it to. Que hay tranquilidad.
So how are we going to do that without getting all the drugs out of the park? All the other illegal gang activity out of the park, the follow home robberies, the fact that families who live in that area that don't really have any green space don't go there.
We know that going back many years, but it's so important because it is the cusp of where all immigrants communities come together, and we know that. A fact of life is that this is the epicenter here. In fact, 73% of the population in Macarthur Park neighborhoods are Latinos.
And don't they deserve a clean park too? I guess not. All right, Marina Elena DeRazzo, what do you have for us?
Thank you very much, Supervisor. Excuse me for my raspiness here. And thank the council member for jumping in and really tackling something that's extraordinarily difficult and a very big human crisis.
I don't think it's that difficult. You either allow drug use at parks or you don't. I spent a lot of time at a lot of parks in Dallas and Santa Fe over the last few weeks. Didn't see any open air drug markets. Didn't see a giant assortment of tents. Didn't see people keeling over. Didn't see the need for Narcan vending machines. This is a very unique California problem. And even in California, this is a very unique Los Angeles problem. San Francisco is turning the corner on this. One of their supervisors, Matt Dorsey, said, we need to go into the open-air drug den in Soma, and we need to arrest 100 drug users every night and force them into treatment. Where's that kind of leadership in Los Angeles? LA has gone the complete other way on this, even compared to San Francisco.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for all your dedication for years now. Macarthur Park looks very calm and nice right now.
Well, yeah, you cleaned it up for this presser, but how about cleaning it up for the constituents?
It's not the reality of what people who live in the district face every day. There's too much violence, too much despair, too much hopelessness, and that should be unacceptable to every single one of us. The addiction problem is real, and it's probably the worst situation in the country. Just this morning, LA Times columnist Steve Lopez described that reality of death.
You know who still reads the LA Times? Local elected officials, because they might get a shout out. But every once in a while, the LA Times reports on something that we already knew that, like, can you believe how bad it is at Macarthur Park? Hey, let's go to Mike. Mike, hello.
Hello, Randy. Hi. About
Hi.
50 yards. Hi. I work about 50 yards off the intersection of 6th and Alvarado, which is the drug dealing center of that area. And the way you're describing it is way too nice. It is terrible. The trash is drifted up the curbs like snowdrifts. And the parking lot in front of where I work, there was an OD last week. A fire engine came, a paramedic ambulance came.
That's quite the picture, Mike. That is way more horrifying than even I can describe. But you're right there on the ground. You see this every single day.
I see it every day I work. Like I said, there was an OD in our parking lot. The fire engine blocked the street. The paramedics came. They gave him a nasal Narcan. Didn't do anything. They started an IV. Wound up giving him 2 IV injections of Narcan. He finally started breathing. They stayed with him a few moments till they could get him to sit up without being held up. And after he could sit up, they packed up the ambulance and left. Didn't take him with them.
And left that guy to go do more drugs.
They just left him on the sidewalk to do more drugs.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they just, like I said, they just left him there. Okay, he's breathing now. He's sitting up. We're done here. Goodbye. And
this is insanity, but this is the life that we lead. Mike, thanks so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. This is the life that we leave here. Somebody is a point where they're almost dead. The biggest cry for help you can imagine. They did so much of this drug that they are about to die. We do everything we can to revive them right there on the street. And then do we go take this person to a hospital? Do we go take this person immediately to a treatment center? No, we leave them right there on the street to do more drugs. It's insanity. We'll hear from some of these harm reduction organizations and the director of harm reduction for LA County coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Susan writes in and says, Randy, excellent coverage of the LA City and County outrage. So happy to hear it and know it's being blasted out to Southern California. Who else is doing this? Really no one in LA the way you're doing it. It is very specifically linked to the cast of ridiculous city and county officials we've come to know so well through you and John, and that's the way to do it. If you ask me, that is. Thank you. You are the best. Susan, you are the best. Let's go back to the phones and go to Anthony in La Puente. Anthony, hello.
Hey, Randy. I just wanted to chime in. And these city officials, I can't believe they're actually going on and patting themselves on the back for what they think they're doing is good. I mean, the drug problem, they shouldn't be allowing drugs on the street. And it's a waste of tax money, just like you said, or you brought up, for them to have people out there with Narcan just in case they overdose instead of getting them the help that they actually need. I mean, it's not like they're in a gym and they're spotting them and saying, hey, if you do too much, I got you. No, that's not even close. Also, I had emailed you and John a few months back a true story about my dad. He was an addict, and he would get arrested. He would go in, get cleaned up, bulk up, and he was healthy. And so whatever they're doing is not helping. It's just making the situation worse. And I can't believe it's being allowed.
It's being allowed and it's being encouraged. That's what's so insane about this ideology of harm reduction. They're not getting the help that your dad did. They're doing the exact opposite. Anthony, thank you so much for the call. And to use his analogy about the spotter at the gym, think about this. If you know you have a spotter, you might try to do a little more load than you're comfortable with because you know someone's got you. Well, what we're telling all the drug addicts out there is do even more fentanyl, do even more meth because you know someone's probably going to revive you. We got Narcan everywhere. They want bartenders to carry Narcan because, anybody could overdose at any time, as long as you're sticking needles in your arms. More of your phone calls, and we'll try to get to some of the sound of the harm reductionists themselves next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Kevin in Upland. Kevin, hello.
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air.
Hello? Hey, how you doing? Hey, that story about the guy with the Narcan, as far as I'm concerned, we wasted LA City fire truck fuel, wear and tear on the tires. We probably had 4 or 5 firemen in the truck, $100,000 a year firemen, and then on top of that, an ambulance, and whatever the Narcan costs. Huge expense to people who don't do fentanyl. paying for the people that do. And that's just one side of it. What do you want them to do? Pack him up and take him to the emergency room and clog that up too? And it's not only that, you got to figure if the guy OD'd on fentanyl, he went way out of his way to get the fentanyl that he OD'd on by probably stealing the tools off the back of my truck. This is ridiculous. It is Darwinism. These people, the 400 people a day die from fentanyl in the United States of America. That's a huge number. 400 a day. As far as I'm concerned, with all the tools the victimization that's happened to me, that's not enough. We need to let the guy be done, and then we won't have to concern ourselves with burglaries and all these crazy crimes. 90% of the people in L.A. County Jail are there from alcohol or from some drug-related crime because they committed a crime, stealing or whatever they did to supply their drug habit. We can clean up this crime problem by allowing these people to eliminate themselves. I know that sounds horrible, but if you've had tens of thousands of dollars stolen from your company and you're literally off the back of your truck, like what has happened to myself and other contractors I know, your attitude would change really quick.
It's definitely perspective, and I understand why people get pushed to that point. Kevin, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's just hear a little bit from the director of harm reduction at Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles.
Give some context. For the past 2 decades, homeless healthcare has been intervening in community overdoses and providing compassionate and humanizing care to those in need. We didn't do it because we were asked to do it. We did it because we knew it was the right thing.
And you were paid a lot of money. And ever since we started partnering with organizations like Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles, have our own county director of harm reduction, the numbers have shot right up. This ideology does not work. I got a lot more sound that we'll play probably tomorrow on the John Phillips Show, and I'll see you tomorrow at 5 for another News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.